What's going on?
Wow, that was so funny to me because we thought it in unison. But welcome back, everybody. Is it crazy or is it God? When we talk about the Bible, okay?
Yes. How's everybody doing?
Man, how's everybody doing? It's a fun day. It's a fun weekend. I'm gonna start in with you.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask you, how did you apply the word this week? Or what is the question? I can never remember. How did you apply the word this week?
Yeah.
Right? Or what did you learn from the word? Yeah, either one. What did you learn from the word, or how did you apply it?
What did I learn from the word this week? That's a good question. How did I apply it?
Well, what did you struggle with? There's another question.
Oh, actually, this week it went by pretty good, actually.
Okay.
I had a great week this week. I think the Lord reminded me this week that we talked about like steadfast loving, to be loving to people, to be kind, because you never know what somebody is going through. You never know. That's why God always says be kind and be loving. And also what consistency can do and bring.
Speak on it.
I've been pretty consistent with my mornings. So I do a morning routine, and people say do your affirmations. My affirmations are Bible verses, and then I get up early. I started going back to the gym. I meditate. I read the Bible, and then me and Faith read the Bible. We read the Bible together in the morning, and that consistency of doing that, it's changed my life at this point in time. And I can only see my life getting better the more and more I do it, the more and more I'm consistent at doing it.
Okay.
And it's phenomenal that I look at the word differently. I hear it differently. The more that I'm in the spirit, the more I hear God talk to me. So it feels good. Now I just want to build on that to get a relationship closer to God. So my week went pretty good. Oh, look.
Okay, great. Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about. Yeah. I appreciate that. Oh, hey, Mr. Damita Jo. Oh, it was. She said clap. I know exactly what she's talking about. It was some old people stuff that I probably did, which is fine. Now listen, I appreciate your words, right? But you did not really answer. But I'm gonna let you slide. Though.
I did. Okay. I did.
How did you apply the word?
Oh, how did I apply? Okay, what did
I mean, maybe consistency is in the Bible, but
okay, how did
you apply the word? I mean, come on, think about it. It's all good. Listen, I'm going to tell you something.
No, to be kind. To be kind to people.
Okay.
And to be loving. Because we talked about that this week when we were going from Giant. And you were like, God wants us to be loving. And then I said that I have a Bible verse in my affirmations that I read, and I had to apply it this week. Because that's why I said it depends on what somebody's going through. I don't want to bring something up, but that's why I believe it's loving and kindness, because you don't know what somebody's going through. They could be going through a tough time. And sometimes people just need love.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Of course, everybody else doesn't, but I think I know what you're talking about. And you know what? I have recently experienced that myself. Okay, thank you, Brother James.
Yeah, I can't be doing too.
Watch out with this brother stuff, because I think it's funny. I be calling you Brother James sometimes, even though you're my husband. But it's weird, I guess. I don't know. I'm just thinking about other things. But now and now I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it is, and it is challenging to try to listen and be doers when you don't want to. So I guess
we were talking about being doers of the
I've
word.
had an adverse sort of take on how I applied the word, right? Because, well, actually not even how I applied it, but like you were saying, like, oh, it's becoming easy for you, and that's good. I'm glad everybody's on their own, journey, even though we're together on reading the Bible, but like, God is speaking to all of us individually. In fact, we can confirm that, like, sometimes we'll be praying for the other one, and then one of us will be compelled to, or both of us will be compelled to come back and be like, God told me to apologize to you. And it'll be like, oh, good, because I was praying too, right? We've had that happen to us before. But so funnily enough, I've been experiencing, well, I don't want to, okay, let me just say it because then I can get it out. But I've been experiencing, God has been showing me some really undesirable qualities and traits about myself. Not that they're so, like, sort of, the word that comes to me is like abhorrent. I don't know if that's the correct word. Not that I'm so horrible, but what I realize is that he's showing me these things to myself. He's not revealing them to everyone, but he's like, hey, take a look at that. That's not like me, right? And I'm stuck with this idea of like, right, and it makes me sort of not cringe, but it's a new thing for me, because I guess before I didn't think that I had a bunch of stuff wrong with me. Like, I don't want to say it like that. Like, I didn't think I was perfect, but it's sometimes that recently where he'll just be like, hey, take a look at this. And I'll be like, oh, right. And it'll be so it'll be like, for lack of a better term, it'll be so cringy that I'll be like, man, and then I'll feel like other people can see it because it's like I'm seeing it, right? For almost like for the first time with fresh eyes. But he's not doing that. And I'm gonna come to my point here on how I applied the word this week, because sometimes that can make me even more sort of like anxiety ridden, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm jacked up, like I'm not moving right, like I don't think the right way, and like literally it'll be something where you'll have to correct me or something, or be like, it's not about being at the destination. It's about you walking with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he's showing you that. So it's like, your response is, okay, God, I hear you. I see you. I'm going to try. And then you try, right? It's not about saying it. It's about doing it. So with that said, I came across one of my, it's like not like I'm coming across this stuff, but it's really funny how things jump out at me in different ways, because there were two verses that hit me that I applied. This one specifically I was applying this week, and it's funny because you said, I brought this up the other day. It's 1 John 3:21 through 3:23. And I'm going to read the Message version only because it just hits a little bit different. Dear my children, let's not. Oh, actually, that's 18.
I'm gonna read one of my favorite verses.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna read the New Living Translation. You're gonna read one of your favorite verses after this.
That reminded about the steadfast love and kindness.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So this is one of my memory verses, and it says, "Even if we feel guilty, God is greater than our feelings, and He knows everything. Dear friends, if we don't feel guilty, we can come to God with confidence, and we will receive from Him whatever we ask, because we obey Him and do the things that please Him. And this is His commandment. We must believe in the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another just as He commanded us." Right? So it's like a reminder. It's like, okay. And then what it spoke to me was that you don't have to be anxiety ridden. Like, God is still walking with you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you feel guilty, like, those feelings might even be wrong. Like, God is not getting ready to berate you and tell you, like, I don't see any evidence of that. God's not getting ready to harp on the old stuff and be like, you're never going to change. See, this is what I was talking about. Like, He's going to just love you. And so with that, it's like, if you can just get rid of the feelings of guilt, go to God, then you should be confident that your prayers are going to be answered, because you're doing what He's asked of you, right? You're doing what pleases Him, even if everything you do is not pleasing. It's like, if you're walking in the ways and the precepts and the things that you know about God, then He's going to bless you. And even right here, it reiterates, this is what He asks of you: believe in the name of Jesus, and then love one another as He commanded us. And that is the hardest thing to do. That's the belief part. But the love part, actually, the belief part can be hard too sometimes, because it's like, we talked about the fire. Now, every time I see that thing on the screen when they be playing that
You
song,
think
and
about
it's got that fire in the background. Like, you know how sometimes they'll put those words. Like, I be thinking about Elijah because it's like he was so faithful. He was so he had so much trust in God that he was like, okay, you tell your God to bring fire, and I'll tell my God to bring fire. We'll see. I'm just saying, at this point in my faith, I don't have that much faith, right? Like, I wouldn't be willing to put it all on the line like that, but also I'm not Elijah. But my thinking is like, okay, this is what God's command is, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you feel guilty, even if you feel bad, even if you feel anxious or what have you, you should know that God, you can be confident that God is going to keep his word. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's how I applied the word, because I've just basically just been clinging to that and clinging to the idea that, like, I don't have to necessarily feel all sugar, sticks, and rainbows. I just got to walk. I just got to be like, okay, God, here we go. Let's do this. And pray to him and just keep it on. So you were going to say you had
my favorite verse.
Yes.
Hold on. We were talking about the steadfast love, right? It was, here it is. Proverbs 3:3-4. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your necks. Write them on the tablet of your heart. So you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what it kind of, that's what love is. You know what I'm saying? But just like what you said, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard because you really just want to be you. Like, you really just want to do what feels right to do. You know what I'm saying? You really just want to tell people how you feel. You really, especially when you feel that the love is not reciprocated. You want to be unloving to those people. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, let me show you how this feels, or let me show you what I think you deserve.
Like God says, love your enemies. Like, what? That's hard to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's like, but it is his command. And so by way of disobeying that, right, then you're just putting yourself out of the pocket, in my opinion. I don't really know. I'm just going by what I understand here. But anyway, guys, we're going to get right into this. Thank you so much, Mr. Damita Jo. We're so happy to have you here. This is going to be sort of I guess a short one by our standards, because sometimes we run on. Yes, Mr. Damita Jo says, but the enemy might be acting that way because they need love. Woo, won't you say it?
That's a bar.
That is a bar, because I've noticed that in my own personal, like, struggles with different people, is that, like, just because you're like, people aren't experiencing what you're experiencing, so a lot of times they don't even know how they come off. But if you treat hate with love, not saying lay down and be somebody's footstool or whatever, right? But it's just like, I don't know where I got footstool from, but like, not saying just be run over, but the idea that you, like you said, you don't know what people are going through, and the enemy might, like Damita Jo said, the enemy might be acting that way because they need love, and people don't realize that they're being taken over by just different forces, because, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you just don't know what other people are being taken in by. So I get what you're saying there. Thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna get right into this, because this is gonna be one of our shorter episodes.
Yeah, because it's really not. It was kind of short with the
reading that we did. And here's what's real, guys. And this is my opportunity to say what we do and why we're here. We are here to inspire a community of Bible readers. That's it. Long and short, simple, sweet. It's just like, that's the long and short of it. It's, if you don't read the Bible, that's fine. You're welcome to come along with us. Or if you want to just watch and see what we think, that's fine too. We definitely want to encourage people to pick up their Bible and read for themselves, because we're finding it very riveting. And we just feel like, okay, well, I guess we should all know what's in there. You know what I'm saying? And it turns out there's a lot of stuff that we didn't realize came from the Bible that are current day sayings, things that we do. We even found something out this time that I'm probably going to go over when we get to it. But it's just like about the boxes with the holes in them. It's just so many things that we're finding out, like, oh, this probably came from the Bible. So we just welcome people. We are, like I said, trying to inspire a community of Bible readers to come and read the Bible along with us. With that being said, we're giving you a real, true, like, blueprint of like, hey, listen, we're a married couple. We have jobs. We have other interests and endeavors. And we're finding the time. Like, sometimes we read in the mornings. Most of the time, we read in the mornings during the weekdays, in between, like, getting up and working out. And then sometimes we're catching up on like a Thursday or Friday morning, or sometimes we're just studying, and so we come and bring you whatever it is that we read, and we just discuss it. And this week we only got to read 2 different, so we normally read 4 passages out of the 365 daily Bible reading plan by teachsundayschool.com. But this time we only got the chance to go over 2, so we're going to go over 2, and that's going to be all right.
This is going to be this is a journey. We're all on the same journey, guys.
Yeah, and we're trying to learn to understand too. So, all right, so here we go. I'm gonna let you go. Jump right in.
So we read 2 Kings 12 through 14 and 2 Chronicles 24 and 25. Now we know Chronicles is short. It's because it's kind of like a historical documentation. It's
riveting.
It's a story, like, so it's just basically a recap of the story in detail. And then Kings, well, this part of Kings, we're just reading what the actual title is Kings. We're just now we're recapping, because it just wasn't King David and King Solomon, right?
Right.
Now it's all the kings, just like Judges. If y'all remember Judges, it was just all these judges and all these stories, and that's what we're doing now. We're reading different kings' stories and what was done in their time when they ruled over Israel.
Whether they
what battles or war won, whether they, and it's always something that they didn't do.
I mean, they all fall short, right? That's the thing.
Some are straight evil.
Yeah, and some
are good.
Some are good, and then they still didn't remove the idols. But it's just like, you got to take it for what it is. You got to
take it for what it is, right? So, 12 and 13 is King Joe. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 Kings 12 13. It's King Joash. He repairs the temple, and King Joahaz hears Elisha. So a lot of times these kings will look. Some will look towards the prophets, and some won't. Some have their own advisors, and they're not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, some people, we see that some of these kings were just evil.
Yeah.
But I think power, just like they say, like power and money, it just reveals more of who the individual is to begin with.
They don't change. Money doesn't change people.
But I think it amplifies it, because you have
power.
We could
go deep on that. But it could be, it's power. So right here,
12 and 13. I think.
It says, faith is said to inspire action. How does this saying apply to King Joash and Elisha?
Okay, well, the first thing that comes to mind is Joash was the one who said to take the money and fix the temples, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to the temples. Maybe it's like all the wars and stuff, or the battles.
Yeah, but he took the money. I think of the wars. You know how.
Yeah, and then things just deteriorate over time. So King Joash told the priests that they should take the money and they should fix up the temples. I would say that is an indicator of faith is said to inspire action. Yeah, because it's like, maybe we don't need this for war, right? Maybe we need this to serve God better. So I guess, I mean, that's how I would say it. But then I do know that some other things happened with Elisha, and he was like having them shoot some stuff out the window. Yeah. Right. So here it's like in 2 Kings 17. They were asking Elisha, and it was King Joash.
Yeah, because he was on his deathbed. Elisha was on his deathbed, remember?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out exactly who asked him, because I don't know if it was Joash or who. Somebody came to Elisha and asked if they were going to win this battle, and he told them, open the window to the east. This is the 2 Kings 17. 2 Kings 13, 17. open the window to the east, and he opened it and he said, shoot. So he shot. And basically he was like, okay, well, if you would have shot more times, then you would have, you would have been more victorious. So basically he was using it as an example, like, okay, whatever you do, that's how your war is going to turn out. And it was kind of like a testament of his faith. But it's interesting because Elisha is the one that has the sort of the gateway to God, because a lot of these people are not believers, I guess. Like they're not following God. But Elisha is so close to God that he's able to like sort of prophesy and do all of these things. So I guess, but then here's the thing. It's funny to me how people won't believe in God, but then they'll believe in a person who believes in God. Like we saw that movie Don't Look Up, right? And they had the guy praying when the whole movie they wasn't thinking about what's going to happen. God. And then when it's like they had no choice, and they're like, can you pray over us? And it's like, yeah, sure. And that prayer, that was a prayer, buddy. But anyway, I think faith is said to inspire action. How does this saying apply to King? That's who it was. Jehovah as Elisha.
Yeah.
I guess it was just the story that's being told in 13 and 12 and 13. 2 Kings 12 and 13 is just going over how they're coming to Elisha to see are we going to win this? Are we going to win this battle? And that inspires action. So if they believe in Elisha and his connection with God, and they're like, okay, he says we're going to win, so let's act. Let's go and do it.
Yeah.
Also, I was gonna say the thing about the temples, but I don't know if that's is there a right answer? We don't know.
Yeah, because I think it was talking about the arrows, like have faith in shooting out the arrows of the window. Because I remember that he won. He once the 3 arrows, he pounded the arrows 3 times. And then Israel only won 3 times, and Elisha was like, "Why didn't you do it 5 or 6 times?" And maybe that applies to faith. Maybe do it as many times as you can, right? As many times as you can believe is possible,
with the expectation that it's going to work out.
It's going to work out.
That would make sense to me, because it's just like you're timid. You're like, "Oh, it's going to work," right?
Why didn't you do it 7, 8 times?
As if you were sure.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to point out, because we talked about this earlier about how certain things come from the Bible. In 2 Kings 12:9, they talked about how, when Joash became king, he asked them to do the temples. And then they didn't do it, but then when he came back and said, why isn't this done? They started collecting money in a chest with a hole in the lid. And I hadn't seen that done before. Like, they were making sacrifices and stuff, but they actually started collecting coins in a box with a hole. And that's how that's one of the ways that they collect offerings to the present day. So I thought, oh, wow, that came from the Bible. So it's so funny how we kind of go along with things and we don't know where it came from. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing like, oh, this stuff was actually written in the Bible. And it says, this is another thing that stuck out to me in 2 Kings 12:15. They did not require accounting from the men to whose hands they placed the money to be paid, because they acted in good faith. So it wasn't like somebody was counting the money. They were just like, oh, it'll get there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting too. So, okay, moving right along. Unless you have something else to add.
No, okay. That was perfect. I'm glad you added that in there. 2 Kings 14, King Amaziah and Jeroboam, I think, and King Amaziah of Judah. I think this is the story where, if I'm not mistaken, he said that he could, he reached out and was like, hey, he got full of himself and he reached out to Israel, and Israel was like, the king of Israel said, hold on now, like, don't cause any trouble, because we would crush you in a real battle. But King Amaziah didn't believe him, and then Israel defeated Judah. I'm 100% sure.
Okay. So
not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
Okay. Yeah, it does say Judah was defeated by Israel and every man fled to his tent. I do vaguely remember that. Okay, yeah. Enjoy your glory, but stay at home for watch. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just because you struck down Edom.
That's so funny because it kind of reminds me of like organized sports or like national sports like the football or basketball that you watch. Just because a team beats another team doesn't mean they're gonna go and beat the team that team beat. So for instance, if my favorite team beats your favorite team, that doesn't mean that they're gonna go and win over the team that team beat last week. They could still go and meet a defeat. You know what I'm saying? You can't just assume.
Don't get too big. Yeah, don't listen. Don't get too big for your britches. You still got to face Patrick Mahomes. This is a good one. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So that's basically what he's saying. Like, don't have your pride and think that you know, this happens to a lot of NFL and sports teams. They dominate the regular season and then they lose.
And what you were talking about was in 2 Kings 14:10.
Yeah.
I see it now. Enjoy your glory, but stay at home.
Yeah.
For why should you plunge into misery so that even you will fall at my hand and Judah with you?
And he did.
But Amaziah would not listen. So Jehoash, king of Israel, went up and
they defeated him.
Yeah.
Defeated
Judah
him.
was defeated.
He's like, chill out.
By Israel.
Relax. You know, just because you defeated Edom, like, and I think that happens a lot in life. This is a weird question.
What is it?
What do the passages they tell us about marrying for money? I didn't really.
I didn't really get that.
I didn't get that.
The
only thing I
didn't get that, but so I guess what I'll say to that is we've noticed that the way that power is passed down, it's like we've noticed the way that power is passed down, and we've noticed a couple of kings work in cahoots to like defeat another city. Right. So I'm not exactly sure what they're referencing in this question, but I will just venture out there to say,
I don't know.
I think that thought was given when they went to war with certain people. Like you're not going to, you know, take a Connecticut in a South Carolina and think you're going to go down and defeat Texas.
Yeah.
Right. You see what I'm saying? It's like that's a whole big, almost a country.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you have to count it up. So as far as the way that it affects marriage, I would think there was thought given to that. Now, that's not something that I've read, but they're asking this question. And I don't know what they're referencing.
I don't know what.
Maybe I missed it.
I just read it. I didn't. The only thing that 14 talks about is the Amaziah reigning in Judah and then losing to Israel.
I don't know what they're talking about there. Sorry, Teach Sunday School people. TeachSundaySchool.com. We didn't pick that up, but I'm sure we'll go back and look for it now. But I mean, I'm just noticing really when we're reading Kings and Chronicles, just the way that the kings moved and they, you know, it's got to be tough to be a king because everybody's looking at you. But then I think some of them just didn't even necessarily care about what people thought. They just got whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And we saw how certain kings would do certain things. Even the one that I guess they would call her a queen.
Who killed her whole family?
Yeah, so the son died and she was the mom of him.
Yeah.
And so she killed all his siblings, or she thought she did, so that she could rule.
But
crazy. Then she was apparently so horrible that they actually staged like overthrow. So they raised the grandson up, and then they kinged him, or they granted him king, and then he took over and they killed her. Yeah. And they was like, don't kill her in the temple. So I don't know what that means about marrying, because if you think about like just the way that things went in the beginning, remember they were like not trying to take on Canaanite women, and there was this whole thing about.
I said, don't mix with them. I remember.
Yeah, so
when, that's when they first got to the new land after the wilderness.
And so maybe we'll go back and look at that, and we'll revisit it next week, because I'm not really sure what they're referring to here. But I do appreciate. I appreciate some of the things that I'm learning about, or I appreciate all the things that we're learning, but it's interesting to see that these people didn't act right like that either. And they, by our standards these days, some of this stuff is just wild.
Some people did not care,
Yeah. But anyway, listen, it's a short episode this week, like we said. Let me ask you, do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, I want to shout out, actually, very shortly, in about 35 minutes, I need y'all to tune in to DCity Life Sisters, because Faith and Damita are going to come on here. They're going to talk about some nice, riveting things.
Oh my gosh!
Please tune in. Please tune in to that. You're going to be going live shortly. Shout out to Fourth Quarter. Always, if you're a fan of sports fans or listen to sports, I am the place for you.
Yes.
And then homecoming, that's HBCU homecoming. That's for anything homecoming dealing with HBCUs. Shout out to Sonic Boom from Jackson State, just played the halftime show with Usher. We talked about that. Shout out to this Kappa shimmying. And then also shout out to your channel, Yes, I'm a Unicorn. Anything for planners, organization, pens, highlighters, notebooks, how to plan, when to plan, lists, everything. Trust me.
I need to hire you.
So tune in. Those are all of our channels. And of course, we have Is It Crazy or Is It God? And thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you, Miss Damita Jo. Thank you for the words of encouragement. This was a good live. This was shorter than normal, but I'm glad we, sometimes you just have to go with what you have.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And we're still reading.
Yeah.
We still read last week. We're still going to continue to read.
We're going to get to this Jonah.
I think next week is probably going to be a little longer, because we're probably going to come back and revisit some of this. But just to piggyback off of what you said about the shout outs. I shout out all those people too. I definitely shout out DCity Life Sisters, because we are about to go live in about 30 minutes here. And just the words, the wise, anybody who wants to come over there, I'll go ahead and put a link in here just so you can find us. But just know that when you come over there, it's not rated PG over there. It's not for children. We're going to talk about some real issues and use some choice language. Two sisters talking about culture, music, anything we want to talk about. We're also very uplifting and encouraging to our community. But I just want, and if any of the saints follow me over there, I just want you to know that it's not rated PG. So if that's not for you, that understood. But just a fair warning, because I'm saved and sanctified. But Jesus loves me for real. So anyway, I'm so happy to have had this live with you, honey. And join us again next week, where we're going to continue talking about 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles, and we're going to jump into Jonah and Isaiah.
I think Jonah in the well.
Jonah is, I think that's it for Jonah, 1 through 4. And then, but we're going to start with Isaiah, and so that'll be fun. So
Isaiah's fun. I got some Bible verses in Isaiah I like, so that's going to be a fun.
Yeah, my grandmother's favorite verse is in Isaiah 41:10. We
get to see the story behind it.
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
Well, that's exciting. Hey guys,
all right,
we'll see you next time. Until then, don't take our word for it. Go to the source. Read your Bible.
All right, guys.
All right, bye. Oh gosh.